Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's AEW Dark from July 19th, as well as this week's Hey EW with RJ City. So, pretty good episode of Dark. Just finished watching it. Took a while again. It was another long episode, but I'll never complain about wrestling if the wrestling's good, and the wrestling was good. So, we came off of a pretty lackluster Dark Elevation last night. So, this Dark was definitely better. I start every Dark review with just kind of going over what happened in Hey EW, the talk show that comes out every Sunday with RJ City. RJ City is very charismatic, very witty. These are usually pretty good, unless the only one I didn't really like was the what's her name? uh Ruby Soho. She just acted, and her acting is terrible instead of just being herself. But anyway, every other episode's been great, and this week's episode, the guest will be Matt Hardy, and so this should be great. I wonder if we'll get the serious repenting Matt Hardy that we've been getting on BTE. If you're interested, I also put every Monday I release the Dark Elevation along with Being the Elite review together. So you can find my thoughts on Elevation and Being the Elite on that. I start every episode of that one with the BTE review. But anyway, it is not the serious repenting Matt Hardy. It is the happy go lucky Matt Hardy. Now this episode was so good I didn't even really take notes. I just encourage every single person to go watch this 10 minutes of really witty back and forth. There really wasn't any. They got along the whole time, unlike most of these interviews where they kind of force people to be annoyed at RJ City. This time it was just two guys shooting the S, having a good time. So definitely go watch this. They have a lot of funny inside jokes. Like RJ City was asking Matt Hardy about slamming tornadoes, if you remember from his I Can Slam a Tornado music from V1 version of Matt Hardy. So just all kinds of funny jokes like that, like RJ City asking Matt Hardy which version he's on. There was a long convoluted answer, and all kinds of funny things. So I didn't take notes on this one like I normally do, just because it was so funny and I was enjoying it so much that I didn't really feel like taking notes. So just go watch this one. Matt Hardy's hilarious, and RJ City keeps is his usual self. Matt Hardy works in this situation, so like RJ City is kind of like a Kevin Owens. I got my ROH Kevin Steen shirt on for in honor. This was a very heavy ROH episode of Dark tonight, which makes sense. We've got the ROH Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view this Saturday. And anyway, like if RJ City had Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen on his program, it would be kind of two guys that both want to be um the top dog as far as the witty comments and stuff. Whereas Matt Hardy obviously is used to playing more of a sidekick back behind the main attraction role, with his whole brother being more popular than Matt. But Matt has always been pulling the strings behind the being a great what do you call it, sidekick. So Matt Hardy being the sidekick to RJ City here was amazing. Go watch it. It's on the all Elite Wrestling YouTube page for free. So let's just get in the dark now. Sorry if you were looking for me to take more notes and say some of the more funnier lines, but I just want people to go watch it and give RJ City some love. Send him some love on Twitter as well. Really funny guy. So AEW Dark this week is from July 19th, or that's when it was aired, on July 19th, 2022 on YouTube. The first thing I noticed when the matches for this week was announced was we are getting a pure rules match between Daniel Garcia and, of all people, Alan Five Angels. So this will be the last Alan Five Angels match that airs on AEW. His contract ended July 1st. Alan chose not to re-sign. Instead, he signed with Impact Wrestling. So this match was recorded 6 weeks ago, and I thought maybe we had moved on to the next tapings because we had the next round of tapings over the weekend over in Universal Studio for Dark. But no, apparently they were saving this match for the week of ROH Death Before Dishonor. I think that's a great decision. This ends up being a really good ROH version of Dark. Almost all the champions of ROH were on this episode, and a lot of the people that are fighting against them as well. So um, this ended up being a really weird amalgamation of matches from 6 weeks ago at the end of the tapings and matches from the tapings that were just this last weekend. So some of the matches are 6 weeks old. Some of the matches are only 3 days old. So I thought when I had first done the preview and before I went to work earlier today, it was probably around 12:30, 1 p.m. Eastern. I had only seen 11 matches announced, but then when I went to go watch the show, three more matches were announced. So we've got 14 matches on this show, some of them from June 11th, some of them from July 16th. And then, like I was saying, this is a very heavy ROH show. Maybe it's maybe this is a look at the new era of Dark after last week's amazing episode of Dark, where they tacked on not only one but two different promotion big matches from other promotions. We got to see Thunder Rosa and Tokyo Joshi Pro against Yamashita, Mayu Yamashita, and then we also got to see the first ever title defense, Pac defending the All Atlantic title in England against Shota Umino. So we didn't get anything that cool this week, but this week they've also tried to make it special just like last week. So that's two kind of special Darks in a row. Let's hopefully they can keep it up for next week. Maybe we'll add maybe will have a match over the weekend that they can tack on there like they did last week. That would be awesome. So maybe there wasn't any big matches for them to tack on this week, or they just had so many matches. They had already had 14 matches they wanted to show because they were doing an ROH showcase tonight. So again, this one is about an hour and 50 minutes long, almost 2 hours. And if you think about it, it's probably about the exact length of a Dynamite if you add in the picture ad breaks on Dynamite, but then take away the ad breaks where there is no picture in picture. So that probably adds up to about an hour and 50 minutes as well. So good stuff here. We're getting a lot of content. I don't mind a lot of content if it's good content, but if it's 3 hours of Raw where you have an hour and a half of content stretched out to double the time, that's bad. But if it's just good action and stuff like that, and bang, 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 move on to the next thing, and there's no stalling, there's no long drawn out stuff, it's a good thing. So let's get into it. The first thing we hear when Dark starts is, "Oh my God, is that Private Party?" And Johl, of all people, making his entrance alongside Private Party. I had completely forgotten that Johl was still part of the Andrade family office. We have not seen Jora since May 17th, where he teamed with Angelico in a win on Dark. So Jora has a record of 7-11 overall, 4-3 in 2022, and 5-8 singles matches overall. His opponent, Johl's opponent, will be Luke Sampson. Luke has a record of 0-5 and 0-1 in singles matches. Luke's a regular on CCW, where Bill Alfonso does commentary for CCW, of all people. That is a promotion in Florida. So Luke has some size to him, definite size advantage over Johl, but we'll find out that doesn't mean much. So this was a pretty eye-opening match for me. One thing to note out of this match is Johl, pound for pound, is very strong. He might not look very big and strong. I mean, he's got a good body on him. He's not very tall, but wow, he shows off his strength big time in this match. So Excalibur hilariously mentions about Quen has his old hairstyle back after we saw Quen last week on Rampage with a new hairstyle. So like I said, this match was recorded 6 weeks ago, and that's hilarious that Excalibur would say that. So Johl starts strong, hitting some chops and dodging attacks from Luke. Luke's able to use his size to block an Irish whip, but then Luke hits a snake eyes, but Jora just counters a charge with a great-looking power slam. Jora stays on the attack now. Private Party take a couple cheap shots behind the referee's back to help out Jora. Jora then does some shots dances to the big boos from the crowd. You know the one. Luke Sampson now fires back with some forearms. And the much smaller Johl easily catches a cross body from the bigger Luke Sampson. This is what I was talking about. He caught him with ease. Johl was much smaller. That looked amazing. Jora is stronger than his size shows, that's for sure. Johl hits a fall away slam off of this catch, and Taz and Excalibur are making fun of Johl yelling too much, and it was pretty funny how they did it, although it wasn't very good to make fun of one of your talents like that. It's okay if they're not one of your signed talents to make fun of them, I would say, but if they're signed, maybe not do that kind of stuff. Jora then stays on the attack, but Luke blocks a suplex twice, and Luke hits a big vertical suplex of his own. Now a striking exchange is won by Luke, and Private Party say, "What are you doing?" the Jora, because it was definitely a mistake to start a striking exchange with a much larger man. Jora might be stronger, but he was never going to have, like, the reach advantage alone was too much to overcome in the striking exchange. So Jora then gets slammed down, and Private Party and now have seen enough. They get up on the apron, they distract Luke Sampson enough for Jora to hit a pump kick for the 1-2-3. So your winner by pinfall is Jora Johl. Private Party clown Jora during the match and after the match. The announcers clowned Jora during the match as well, and Jora needed help to beat an unsigned talent. I am guessing Jora Johl will not be re-signed by AEW. Um, I just have a feeling after watching that, you know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, Jora Johl just showed us that he is really strong and has something to work with, but maybe AEW doesn't have any faith in him. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. So the second match of the night was one of the three unannounced, or like it was probably announced, but later in the day I missed them. But this means that AEW split this episode of Dark with intertwining the 6-week-old matches and the 3-day-old matches. So which I guess is pretty cool. And it makes it feel like less like two shows are squeezed together, which they are, but it would seem even more obvious if they had like one half of the show the old matches and then the other half the new matches. So I like that they split them up, intertwined. Lee Moriarty's music hits, his really weird music hits. I don't like his music at all. Lee Moriarty comes out though. I like him, and Lee just failed in his attempt to win the ROH World Title on Rampage Friday. So Lee Moriarty comes in with a record of 13-15, but has a 7-2 singles record in 2022. So don't forget, Lee Moriarty was one of these unsigned guys that we would see on Dark when AEW first brought him in to lose matches. But then we got to watch Lee Moriarty slowly but surely get more and more offense in each and every match, to the point where Lee Moriarty finally won a match on Dark and got officially signed by AEW. So Lee Moriarty is the poster boy of reasons to watch Dark and Dark Elevation, because you never know which one of these unsigned guys or gals will get signed eventually, just like Lee Moriarty did. So that explains why his record isn't very good. Remember, he just started out as one of the local talent jobber types. So Lee is looking to change his momentum after that loss against for the ROH title against Jonathan Gresham here against Ren Jones. Ren Jones is 0-3 in AEW, and we just saw Ren on Elevation losing to Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh about 3 weeks ago. So after Lee Moriarty lost the title match against Gresham on Rampage, Stokely Hathaway, of all people, approached Lee Moriarty to join him and ditch that loser Matt Sydal. Matt then said to Lee that, "Oh, I got you a match this week on Rampage." And it turned out to be Sydal's other trainee, Dante Martin. So that almost certainly means that this is the last match that we will see of Lee Moriarty until he turns heel on Friday and joins Stokely Hathaway. Stokely, being Lee Moriarty's manager and mouthpiece, in my opinion, will be an amazing thing. And then hopefully Lee Moriarty's music will also change. I can't stand his music right now. It's got some weird like yelling in the middle where it's like woo, woo, but it's not really like Ric Flair's woo. Like I made it sound. It sounds like kids playing in a ball pit at McDonald's or something. Like it's really awkward. So hopefully that changes. Anyway, even if it doesn't, Lee Moriarty turning heel and having Stokely as a mouthpiece is going to be amazing. So there's no doubt in my mind that will happen this Friday. So here we are, the last match as a babyface for Lee Moriarty. He's fighting Ren Jones, Ren. So the crowd chants loud for Lee at the start. Ren tells the crowd to be quiet. I appreciated that. That was funny. Ren starts the match with a massive elbow shot, and the crowd boos this. So Ren's now talking trash. Lee rolls around to evade any more attacks, then gets the arm trapped of Ren. Lee takes him to the ground, traps the arm behind him, and goes after the other arm. Lee then, while having all these holds on, hits the bicep pose, just like Bryan Danielson has been doing. So, maybe training his new cocky heel character here. I like it. I can't wait for Lee Moriarty to turn heel on Friday. So he's already kind of training his new cocky heel character here. Ren gets out of this hold, and then Ren gives a clean break, but Ren doesn't break clean himself and goes on the attack. I mean, Lee gave him the clean break there. So Lee wasn't totally heel yet for sure. Lee counters and hits 2 arm drags and then goes back to work on that arm he was working on before. Ren takes control when he sends Lee hard into the middle turnbuckle face first. Ren then follows with some kicks, but Lee charges in with a European uppercut. Ren charges right back with a corner lariat. Really good match here. I didn't expect Ren Jones to get as much offense as he did, but he looked good when he was on offense, so I can't complain whatsoever. Ren Jones now goes for a pump handle, but I don't know what he was going to do out of the pump handle because Lee Moriarty blocks it. Ren punches Lee, but all that does is fire up Lee Moriarty, who hits a mafia kick and an underhook suplex that has Ren in trouble now. Lee applies the Border City stretch, passed down to him from Alex Shelley, my hometown guy, along with previous attacks to the arm that forces Ren Jones to tap out. Great match to start us out here on this ROH special edition of Dark. The winner by submission is Lee Moriarty. I love this match. I'm glad it wasn't a complete squash. Ren looked good when he was on offense, and Lee Moriarty got to show off a little bit of his cocky side, which I hope we get to see more often going forward. And I'm really looking forward to Lee Moriarty versus Dante Martin. In general, those two are going to have a banger match on Rampage, regardless of the storyline behind it. So in the back now, Fuego Del Sol, of all people, is being interviewed. And it was a really good interview. I hope Fuego gets more interview time in the future. So Fuego is asked about his big match tonight against QT Marshall. If you remember, QT Marshall had a huge rivalry with Fuego going back last year. And then just recently, QT tried to have Fuego join the factory, and he apologized for everything that happened in the past, but Fuego still said no. So Fuego now says, they call me Fuego because I'm fired up. When it comes to this mic work, this is light work. But you know who gets people fired up? QT Marshall. He's just as talented as he is smart. And his offer to join the factory wasn't a bad offer, but I want to drop QT on his neck one more time and use the factory, or use the fire to burn down the factory to the ground. Great promo here by Fuego. He said it better than I did. And he should get more mic time in the future because of this. So another one of the three matches I didn't see announced. It's going to be Serena Deb versus Viva Van. Another sticks with the ROH theme of this episode of Dark, as Serena Deb has a title shot for the ROH Women's title, world title. So at Death Before Dishonor this Saturday, she'll fight champion Mercedes Martinez, and Serena has a very good chance to win the title this Saturday. So a little warm-up match here for Serena as she prepares for Saturday. We just saw Serena tap out Anna Jay in Anna's hometown on Dynamite. Fairly easy win there for Serena. Serena Deb is 27-6 overall, 19-6 in singles matches, and is 15-1 in 2022. Her only loss to Thunder Rosa at Revolution for the AEW World Championship. So Viva Van is her opponent tonight. Viva comes in with a 0-3 record in AEW, and this is the first time meeting between these two women. So Serena Deb comes out with her really great music, some of the best music in all of AEW. The crowd almost gasped when the music hits because they know somebody's about to get destroyed. So Serena has that effect, kind of like people gasp when Brock Lesnar comes out. Serena actually has that same effect on people now, which is awesome to see. She's not even like a big woman. She's just a ferocious, she's going to hurt somebody when she goes out there. So Serena has a new haircut, it looked like, as well as a new flag. She's carrying a flag, and it reads Deb's Dojo. So I would love to see a Serena Deb faction, that's for sure. Serena looks great with her new haircut, by the way. Viva Van is outmatched as soon as the match starts. Deb works on the arm, hits a nice arm drag, maintaining wrist control, and Viva Van's in trouble already. The crowd rallies for Viva Van, who hits some strikes, ending with a really nice looking roundhouse kick to Deb's head. I like that move. Deb shakes it off, though, and applies another hold to trap Viva Van. Deb's now sitting on the head of Viva Van while stretching out her arms. It looked really nasty. You can hear Viva screaming in pain, and she was short of breath. So the sitting on the head not only just looked what do you call it, and like to embarrass them, it was also cutting her like oxygen and making it hard to breathe. So really devastating submission there. Deb breaks the hold herself to hit 3 uppercuts, but on the third one, Viva Van counters it, hits a nice leg sweep after that and a lariat. Some good offense when Viva Van had a chance to do some. Good stuff here. So Serena takes back control and catapults Viva Van into the bottom rope. Deb then hits a nasty Deb tox pile driver for the 1-2-3. It looked devastating. Great match, even though it was short. Serena Deb has to win the ROH World title. She's on fire right now. no offense at all to Mercedes Martinez, but Serena Deb is on fire. So Serena applies the Serenity Lock after the match is already over, making Viva Van tap out, even though there's no match. Deb lets go and poses while talking trash into the camera to Mercedes. Great stuff here. Serena is so good. Love her to death. So back to 6 weeks ago now, we go after 2 matches from 3 days ago. So Marina Shafir comes out for the next match alone. Since this was recorded 6 weeks ago, it's before her partnership with Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero started. So Marina has a 10-5 record and is 8-4 in singles matches. Marina has really scary violin music that just works for her perfectly with her stone-faced. She is beautiful. She's got a stone face, but she's also going to tear you apart. So I really like her music. Anyway, hopefully Marina can get a little bit better in the ring. She seems to have a little bit trouble transitioning from MMA to pro wrestling, but I would not give up on her yet. That's for sure. Her opponent tonight will be Amber Nova, who we saw lose in a minute or two easily to Julia Hart just last night. So there's no way Amber Nova is going to beat Marina Shafir if she can't beat Julia Hart and loses in a couple minutes. So anyway, we also saw Amber Nova on Dynamite in the baddies section on Friday, if you remember. Amber Nova's record is 0-10, and she's 0-4 in 2022. Taz and Excalibur are absolutely hilarious in this match, as usual. They're always funny on these dark episodes. Amber starts with a shoulder tackle, but it has no effect. Amber then tries a crossbody, but Marina catches it. Amber is able to escape it, but Marina just hits a nasty knee breaker that pretty much Amber Nova sells her knee and hurting her knee for the rest of the match. A judo throw now into an ankle lock has Amber Nova in big time trouble. Amber kicks Marina really hard in the face. Let me pause right there. One thing I've noticed about these Marina Shafir matches, Marina tells these women before the matches clearly, I've watched enough of her matches now. Marina clearly tells them, hit me as hard as you freaking can. I don't care. So that's one thing I love about Marina Shafir. She just lets those other women hit her as hard as they can. There is no fakeness about it whatsoever. Love that. Unfortunately, Sky Blue found out that Marina's going to hit you just as hard back, and Sky Blue got injured. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, a judo throw into an ankle lock. Those kicks to the face of Marina, but that just makes Marina tighten the ankle lock even harder. Marina now eats 4 massive elbows to the face to break the hold, but Amber's leg is now too messed up to capitalize. Marina just locks in her finisher called Greedy, which is a leg bar, arm bar, headlock combo. Amber Nova, of course, taps out. The winner by submission is Marina Shafir. Decent match here, but Marina needs longer matches on Dark if she's ever going to improve. This match probably didn't really help her improve, other than confidence, maybe. She needs a little bit longer matches if she's ever going to improve. And why not have those on Dark here, you know? So anyway, Marina is currently in a tag team with Nyla Rose, where she'll have Nyla and Vicky Guerrero to talk for her. Marina's not very good at her promos. So maybe AEW will introduce women's tag titles, especially now that we saw on NXT 2.0 tonight. They threw the women's tag titles in the trash, literally, on their own program. So there is no longer women's tag titles in WWE or NXT. AEW should definitely pick up the pieces and introduce the women's tag title. And Nyla and Marina would definitely be good choices to at least fight for it, if not be champions. So the next match was really interesting to see on the list. It will be Anthony Henry versus Konosuke Takeshita. Takeshita has just been on fire the last month or so, catapulting him into the current top 5 in the world, in my opinion. Really good stuff from the 26-year-old. It's great to see him appearing on Dark here. It'll be against Anthony Henry. He's the tag partner of JD Drake, if you remember, in the Workhorsemen. Takeshita is 6-7 in AEW against really tough competition, however. And if you don't count the Battle Royals, it's 6-5. But I count the Battle Royals. A loss is a loss, bro. You didn't win, did you? So it's a loss. Anyway, Anthony Henry comes in with a 0-8 record, 0-2 in 2022 singles matches. But he's still a really good veteran wrestler, able to pull out a win. So this should be a good match, and it is. This is the match of the night right here. Do not miss this Anthony Henry Konosuke Takeshita match. So Anthony tries to intimidate Takeshita right away, but Takeshita just keeps his cool. And the pace quickens already right after they exchange some forearms at the start. So the pace quickens already. Takeshita hits a nice leg lariat to win this exchange. Anthony then takes down Takeshita and cranks on the neck twice. That was a good looking move. Then applies a straight jacket, like chin lock to Takeshita, but Takeshita tries to counter out of it. Anthony counters right back and hits a nice looking straight jacket backstabber. Yep, this is a really good match. Figured it would be. So Anthony kicks the back of Takeshita now. That just fires him up. Anthony hits another big kick, but Takeshita's now on his feet. Takeshita catches the next kick and counters it into a powerbomb attempt. But Takeshita, Henry counters that power bomb, and Takeshita then hits the Undertaker running lariat. Oh man, he hits it even better than the Undertaker. One of Takeshita's best moves, that running flipping lariat. So then Takeshita hits a perfect tope con hero dive to the outside. The fans at Universal Studios are really getting a treat here. So Takeshita slams Anthony Henry into the turnbuckle, which leaves Henry up on the top rope now. Takeshita hits an uppercut and a superplex for a 2 count. Takeshita now signals for the Blue Thunder bomb, but Henry's able to block it. Takeshita applies a crossface instead, but Henry gets out of it. Now Takeshita hits that Blue Thunder bomb he wanted, and it looked amazing, devastating. So what a match here. Definitely go find this Anthony Henry Konosuke Takeshita match. So Henry then catches a jumping knee strike in the corner and hits a dragon screw leg whip across the ropes. Now Takeshita comes up holding his arm even, so he must have hurt his arm at some point during all this. I'm not even sure where. A striking exchange breaks out. They go back and forth for a little while, and Takeshita hits multiple strikes in a row now. Henry hits a drop kick and a big lariat. Henry hits the drop kick, but a big lariat takes Henry down. Henry gets back up, hits a Kamagori kick. Really, really good match here. So Henry now applies a Kimura lock on the hurt arm of Takeshita, but Takeshita is so strong, he just lifts right out of that into a last ride powerbomb. I thought that might have been it, but it was only for a 2 count. Then we get to see a new finisher from Takeshita. I don't think I've seen this move out of his arsenal yet, but it is a massive running, jumping knee attack for the 1-2-3. Your winner of the match by pinfall is Konosuke Takeshita. And wow, that has to be a new finisher. I didn't even know he had that in his arsenal. It's kind of like if you've ever seen Cameron Grimes do the running stomp, the cave in, except this is only with one leg and the knee instead of the foot. That's the only way I can describe it. Go watch this match, though. It was great. Anthony Henry also looked great in this match. I'm assuming it's match of the night. I wrote this down before the rest of the show was over, and it was. This is the match of the night by far. So, it was also better than any match on NXT 2.0 for tonight. That was for sure. So go watch this match. So we go right from that great match to having the world champion of ROH come out. The Foundation, Jonathan Gresham, makes his entrance. Gresham has a 2-0 zeros record in AEW. So he also lost that tag title, not title, but that tag match on purpose a couple of weeks ago on Rampage when he turned heel on Lee Moriarty to join the Tully Blanchard Enterprises. So Gresham's opponent tonight is Jordan Oasis, who is making his AEW debut. Jordan Oasis kind of looked like a big jacked up version of Justin Credible. No comment there. But Gresham has given up size as usual, but he's probably faster and stronger. So if you're faster and stronger, you usually win most matches, and Gresham also has the technical beast ability. So Gresham cartwheels out of a hold right in the beginning. That was absolutely beautiful. Gresham then keeps shaking the hand of Oasis over and over. On the third one, Gresham takes a cheap shot to remind everybody, yes, I'm a bad guy now. So Gresham shows off his agility even more, then fakes a kick to the shin and hits a drop kick instead. Great stuff from Gresham. This is a true showcase match here. So between two big title defenses in an 8-day span for Gresham. So Gresham fights Claudio Castagnoli in the main event of Death Before Dishonor this Saturday for the ROH World title. So Jordan now is making a little bit of a comeback, hits a nice looking senton into the ropes. It's kind of like the cannonball senton that's usually done in the corner, but this was just in the middle of the ropes. I can't say I've ever seen that before. That was cool looking from Jordan Oasis. Gresham then fights back, hits 2 nasty looking stomps to the knee, and then just forces Jordan to tap out by continually banging the knee over and over into the mat. That looked nasty and effective. Your winner by submission is Jonathan Gresham. I say submission, but it wasn't even a hold applied. He just made the man quit. So another good match here. Even if it was a squash, we saw like 3 or 4 new moves I've never even seen in wrestling before, and one of them was from Jordan Oasis. So really good match here. Great episode of Dark, and just keep 2 weeks in a row of great Dark episodes. So now we get to hear Wheeler Yuta's amazing music. So I've heard some hate on Wheeler Yuta's music before. I don't understand it at all. One of my favorite songs, period, any song ever. We're talking Beatles, we're talking Eminem, we're talking anybody. One of my favorite songs in the world is from the video game Punch Out from the NES, and it's when he's training and he's running through the he's got his trainer, and it's a boxing game, so he's running through the streets and he's got his trainer on a bike behind him like you see in Rocky. And the song, I don't want to get copyright strike, but quickly it kind of goes like bum 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 bum. Ba-dum-bum, bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-dum. So go listen to that song and then listen to Wheeler Yuta's song. They're almost exactly the same, and I love it. Anyway, we keep the ROH Champions theme going here. Yuta is the pure champion, and he will defend his title against Daniel Garcia this Saturday. So we also see that I've also seen later in this match, and it will be the main event, Daniel Garcia in a pure rules match against Allen 5 Angels later on tonight. So Wheeler Yuta is 27-20. His opponent will be Bryce Donovan, who is 0-2 in AEW. Bryce currently holds 3 different titles on the Indies, and we last saw him on Elevation losing to the Acclaimed back in May. And Bryce also lost to MJF on Dynamite back in October. I think that was when MJF was trying to rack up some wins. Remember, I think like the week after that is when he lost. MJF lost to what was that guy's name? He was on Dark last week too. Let me see. It's not Charlie Bravo. Charlie Bravo's his infantry tag partner, Captain Sean Dean. It's weird that I would remember Charlie Bravo over Sean Dean. Anyway, Yuta is has that on Saturday, but Yuta tomorrow on Dynamite has to face his former mentors, the best friends, Chucky T and Trent Beretta, on Dynamite and a tag team with John Moxley of all people. So that should be a really fun match. Yuta starts this match here strong and fast. He hits a senton and then works on the arm of Bryce Donovan while also hitting some body punches. So that's some regal training right there. Put a hold on the man and strike him at the same time kind of deal. Now Yuta has his legs tied up and bridges back to hurt Bryce's legs even more. Yuta runs into a black hole slam at this point, and Bryce uses his side as advantage there. Yuta's much smaller. So Yuta gets up, starts a striking exchange. Bryce doesn't want that, so he hits a scoop slam and a jumping elbow to Yuta. Bryce Donovan then applies a half Nelson with a crossface, but Yuta hip drags out of this and hits a Manhattan drop. Now up to the top rope, Yuta hits a spinning heel kick, but Bryce isn't done yet. Elbows out of a waist lock into a roll up for a 2 count. Then Yuta just hits a massive German suplex with a bridging pin for the 1-2-3. Your winner by pinfall is Wheeler Yuta. Really short match here, but great to hear his music, first of all. And then second of all, we get to see Yuta show up after the pure title match. So this match is to help set up that pure title match on Sunday. So now Tony Schiavone comes to the ring, and of course, this match wasn't just about the match. Yuta gets to have a pretty good promo here. So Tony Schiavone asks about the big title match against Daniel Garcia and brings up how Daniel Garcia called Yuta a Daniel Garcia cosplayer. So Yuta has a great comeback here, and he says, well, he likes to call himself a sports entertainer, which makes him a cosplay wrestler. But that's besides the point. It keeps getting more and more personal with Jericho Appreciation Society. Garcia, a pure rules match is no place for a sports entertainer. No bells, no whistles, none of your boys to back you up. Everyone already knows what will happen in our match Saturday. So let me tell you about Garcia Sunday. He'll try to roll out of bed. It'll take 2 or 3 times. He'll limp over to the bathroom mirror and see a scar. Every day after that, he'll see the same scar, and you'll remember who gave it to you. The Ring of Honor pure champion, Wheeler Yuta. Great match and even better promo by Wheeler Yuta here. Wow, he's come so far in AEW in just a year or so. Awesome promo by Wheeler Yuta. So the next match was a weird one to see on the list today. It will be Danhausen versus Jake Something. So Jake Something, you might know him from Impact. He left Impact at the end of the year, and has been making appearances at New Japan Strong and AEW ever since then. So Jake Something is 0-2 in AEW, and he'll have a chance to get his first win here. Jake Something's much, much bigger than Danhausen, who comes in with a record of 2-1 and is 0-1 in singles matches. Remember, Danhausen got killed in about 15 seconds to Tony Nese. So Danhausen, of course, comes out the big cheers. Taz says that he likes Danhausen now, and Excalibur says, yeah, but it's only because he had big sales for the Hookhausen shirts, which obviously Hook is Taz's son, so that was kind of funny. Anyway, Jake Something stops Danhausen from cursing him right away with a big strike. Jake has a really bad-looking rat tail on the back of his hair. Looks awful. Jake then makes fun of Danhausen and hits some more big strikes. The crowd, of course, is chanting for Danhausen, but Jake takes him down again. Danhausen keeps kicking out of these big shots, though, showing some toughness. Now Danhausen gets the curse applied to Jake, and Danhausen hits a German suplex. Danhausen then, with some of the best wrestling he's done in AEW so far, hits some more suplexes and stuff. One of them was like a springboard suplex. So Jake Something blocks a top rope hurricanrana of all things and hits a power bomb, but Danhausen kicks out again. Danhausen then with an inside cradle out of nowhere for the 1-2-3. Your winner by pinfall is Danhausen. Kind of a lame ending. Danhausen was just showing everyone that he can actually wrestle. So then why wouldn't you just have Danhausen win with a big move? Why does he have to roll up a guy that's not even signed? He's unsigned talent. Do you really need to have a freaking dark match with an unsigned talent where he rolls the guy up? But even if Jake Something is good, which he is, but I don't think it matters. I think Danhausen should have hit a big move for the win. Either way, it was cool to see him hit some actual wrestling matches. And stuff. Let's just move on. The next we see the Renegade twins, Charlette and Robyn, come out. So they are only 22 years old. We saw them lose in 22 seconds on Rampage on Friday to Athena and Chris Stanlander. So let's see if they have any better luck tonight. They have a tag record of 0-3 in AEW. So already in the ring is two women we've seen before on Dark. It'll be Avery, Breaux, and Valentina Rossi. And we also saw Valentina Rossi on Rampage sitting in the baddies section during that match where the Renegades twins lost on Rampage. So Avery Breaux's record is 0-2, and she's also had one match on NXT Level Up in the last couple months. Valentina Rossi's record is 0-10. So the Renegades music, go try and find this on YouTube. I haven't checked to see if it was there, but the Renegades twins music is amazing. So I hope we get to hear that again and not have to wait like 6 more months. The crowd absolutely hates the Renegade twins, and they're talking trash right back to the crowd. So that was kind of cool to see. Avery Breaux and Charlette Renegade will start this match. It's hard to tell them apart for sure. They're definitely identical twins. And unlike the guys we saw last night, the Hughes brothers, Devon's twin sons, they at least had one had a handkerchief on the right side of his hip, and the other one had a left side handkerchief, so we could tell them apart. But nothing to tell them apart here, which will be played into the story. So pretty quickly in the match, the Renegade twins use quick tags in the corner to do the Unicorn Stampede, which is a move the New Day does. And the ref gets confused as to who the legal twin is after all that. Even I was. I didn't know who was who at that point. I knew who started the match, and then it got all mixed up. So Valentina Rossi now hits a blind tag, and this allows her to take down Charlette and hits a split-legged drop on Charlette, just like Nikita Lyons has been doing. And Taz says, oh, that used to be in my arsenal, but I had to stop doing it when I got a little bit older. So just imagining Taz doing a split leg drop, it's just ridiculous to imagine. Robyn kicks Rossi right in the mouth now from the apron, and Robyn now tags in. So Robyn wasn't even in the match, but she affected it here. Double teams are now botched by the Renegade twins. The timing was completely off, but don't forget, they're only 22 years old, but still, it looked terrible. Rossi kicks out and tags out. Avery Breaux now in with 2 big leg lariats on Charlette. The Renegade twins collide on the apron while running the ropes, and the other one was on the apron. The ref now gets distracted by Rossi. The twins switch using twin magic, just like the Bella twins and every other twin tag team ever. Then they try to tag out anyway. I think they might have got a little advantage out of it, but not much. And then they tag out anyway to do a double team. They hit a neck breaker spine buster combo on Avery Breaux for the 1-2-3. So your winners by pinfall are the Renegade twins. Not a very good match here. They didn't have a lot of chemistry, even though they're twins, but they are only 22 years old. So give them some time. But at least their music is amazing. Go check that out on YouTube. They have time and room to improve, so hopefully they do. Tony Schiavone in the ring again, and he's all mad about that twin magic. Tony Schiavone just can't believe it. He says, the jig is up, ladies. So the twins said they won fair and square. Someone in the crowd yells, you suck. I laughed so hard at that because everything else was quiet, and then you just hear one guy, you suck. So Tony isn't buying this, and Tony's just completely yelling at the twins, and the segment ends. That was kind of funny and awkward at the same time. Because why would Tony Schiavone be so freaking mad to the point they should have slapped him or something? Anyway, we go back to our ROH theme now, as we've got the ROH Women's World Champion Mercedes Martinez out next. She's got a record of 13-5, and there's 13-3 in 2022. So she will defend her ROH Women's title against Serena Deb this Saturday. Mercedes' opponent tonight is J-Rod, who is making her debut. J-Rod has a ton of skin showing, and she's super tall, so not too bad there. Mercedes then shakes off any attacks at the start, hits a running knee strike on J-Rod that almost ended the match immediately right there. But J-Rod gets up. To her credit, she's a tough woman, and hits snake eyes and a handspring elbow that looked pretty good. Taz was making fun of the snake eyes, though, saying she was too close to the turnbuckle. A little on-screen criticism there. But hopefully, she takes that and learns from it. Anyway, a running bulldog after that handspring elbow gets J-Rod a 2 count already. That looked nice, and kind of surprising she would ever get a 2 count in this match. J-Rod stays in control now, but hits a bad, and I mean bad looking twisting Vader bomb. Tiffany Stratton does it way better on NXT 2.0. But keep improving, keep trying to get better. I'm not saying you're the worst ever or that it can never get better. But anyway, Mercedes turns it around with some massive chops to the chest now. Mercedes hits a Death Valley driver for a near fall. I thought that was almost it. But J-Rod is definitely in big trouble with her butt hanging all out at this point. Mercedes hits a nice shotgun drop kick to the corner. Mercedes hits the 3 Amigas, but on the third one, she uses the ropes to hit a twisting suplex. That looked great. J-Rod's already in huge trouble as Mercedes locks in the Brass City Sleeper, of course, for the tap out. So your winner by submission is Mercedes Martinez. Then Serena Deb walks out on the stage. So the two women stare down. I can't wait for that match. We've been building up this match for over a month now. It started with Serena Deb and Mercedes Martinez forming a tag team where they just tried to one-up each other each time. So now they're really in each other's like faces here, even though they don't get in the ring together. They're you know what I mean. So Serena tells her to hold on to that title real tight because it's going home with her Sunday or Saturday. Kind of a nothing match. J-Rod seemed like she has some potential. She got some size to her, needs a lot of seasoning. Mercedes Martinez, we already know, one of the most veteran women on the entire roster and in the entire world. And so is Serena Deb. So two big veteran wrestlers going to have a knockout, drag out match. It's going to be amazing. Hopefully they go 20 minutes. I would love to see Serena Deb versus Mercedes Martinez in a 20-minute match on Saturday. So it's time for the third match of 3 that we didn't see announced, and it'll be the varsity, or that I didn't see announced. It'll be the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman. They come out and they have a tag record of 28-15. Their opponents will be the aforementioned Hughes brothers I was just talking about. That's Terrence and Terrell Hughes. And we saw them last night on Elevation lose to the Dark Order 10 and Evil Uno. And they are the twin sons of Devon Dudley and were trained by the Dudley boys. So the Hughes brothers are 0-10 in AEW tag matches. And we've got 3 of the 4 men in this match, second generation, and then there's Griff Garrison, who got destroyed by Luchasaurus on Dynamite this last week. Tomorrow on Dynamite, the Varsity Blondes face Luchasaurus and Christian, so this should be a pretty good warm-up match, as the Hughes brothers kind of have the size of Luchasaurus, and then they've been trained by one of Christian's biggest rivals, the Dudley boys. So good warm-up match here for the Varsity Blondes. Griff Garrison and Terrell Hughes is going to start the match. Griff starts strong with a takedown, then applies a headlock and tags in Brian. They hit double teams on both of the Hughes brothers. Brian Pillman Jr. hits a nice drop kick. The crowd's loving this. Big chops to Terrence now, has him rocked, but Terrell gets out of the double team. Terrell was the one that was in, but then now he tags in Terrence. Terrence hits a couple of attacks, but Brian just takes back control. The crowd's rallying behind the Hughes brothers of all things, so I thought they would have been fans of the Varsity Blondes, but they wanted to see the Hughes brothers win apparently. But I guess it was just because he had a headlock in, Brian did. That's the cue for the crowd to rally. Anyway, Terrell now tags back in, hits a pretty good hurricanrana for a bigger guy, Bryan then counters a lariat. Griff had blind tagged in before, and Griff hits a nasty looking rolling elbow for the 1-2-3. So your winners of the match by pinfall are the Varsity Blondes. And the size of the Hughes brothers was definitely giving the Blondes trouble, but their superior chemistry and teamwork won them the match. So let's see if they can do that again tonight on Dynamite or tomorrow, depending on when you watch this. So kind of a nothing match, but it was good to have a showcase that the at least make us think that the Blondes could have a chance tomorrow. So next match, this is a rivalry that's lasted over a year. QT Marshall versus Fuego del Sol. Like I said earlier, QT apologized and tried to invite Fuego to join the factory, but Fuego said no. And then QT kept Solo from Colorado from attacking Fuego that night. But then I think last week or the next week after that, so 2 weeks ago, Fuego beat Aaron Solo on Dark. So I doubt Fuego will swerve us here and join the factory, but we'll just have to wait and see. Fuego del Sol has a record of 12-58. And he's 7-35 in singles matches. But he is 5-4 in 2022 singles matches, so he's been turning it around. QT Marshall has a record of 46-47. He needs 19-22 in singles matches. So a couple guys that are not on the good side of, they don't win most of their matches when they're single competitors. So they'll definitely be wanting to win a big match here. QT comes out first. There's no factory backup, which is weird. So I'm guessing we will see a sneak attack later, and we do. So like that wasn't predicted. Fuego now out, the big cheers. One of the biggest heroes of Dark. The crowd absolutely loves him. And by the way, QT Marshall is the most hated man of this Universal Studios Dark crowd that come like every month. So we've got like the big hero of Dark versus the big evil villain of Dark here in this match. And that makes it a pretty big one. So maybe, just maybe, Fuego will turn heel in this match, but I doubt it. The bell rings, nothing happens. They just kind of stand there and stare at each other. The crowd chant loud for this one. A big match for the people that show up to all these shows. So wow, not only did we hear that Excalibur is from my hometown of Detroit earlier in the show, which I knew that much, but then Taz tries to make a joke because they were talking about, oh yeah, AEW is going to be in Columbus, Ohio, home of the University of Ohio State University. And then Taz makes a joke, oh yeah, you're from Detroit, why don't you, Excalibur, why don't you wear a University of Michigan shirt when we go to Columbus, Ohio? And my boy Excalibur says, I grew up in a Spartan household. I'm a Michigan State guy. Love you, Excalibur, for that. Absolutely love that. I already loved Excalibur, but now that I know he's a Michigan State guy from Detroit, just exactly like me. It's basically me if I got into the business. So I love them. Go green, go white, go state, go Spartans. QT, back to this match now. QT knocks down Fuego with a shoulder tackle, but Fuego nips up right away, shows his quickness and lucha skills to take down QT. QT now uses his power and experience advantage to hit a big diving splash to take control. QT then hits some attacks and works the crowd for more boos. Huge vertical suplex and a leg drop has Fuego in trouble. The crowd's saying boring to all this attack from QT. It wasn't boring, but like I said, their mortal enemy in Orlando's Universal Studios crowd is QT Marshall, and it's hilarious. QT then throws Fuego into the barricade and then a back elbow off the top rope. QT's having a really good match here. Fuego kicks out at 2, but he can't afford much damage at this point. QT then catches his breath, wears down Fuego even more with a headlock, and this was a mistake. So Fuego easily gets out of that, but QT showing some lucha skills now, hits a handspring Kamagori kick. What a move. He's been doing that a lot lately, Marshall has, but with QT's size and age, it's always awkward and weird to see. And he hits it picture perfect. It's not like it's awkward or anything. It's just he's so big, it shouldn't be happening. Anyway, Fuego dodges a lion salt attempt. Really good lion salt by QT, who lands on the mat super hard. That must have felt terrible. Anyway, Fuego blocks a punch after that, then goes on the attack, hitting a neck breaker and a springboard moonsault to a running Then after that, a running shooting star press. Great stuff here from Fuego. Now Taz asks Excalibur if Fuego is still on the Sammy Guevara vlogs, and Excalibur gets mad because he doesn't watch Sammy's vlogs, so he doesn't have the answer. So the reason he was mad is that he had to admit that he doesn't watch everything. QT then catches Fuego, who's trying the tornado DDT, which is his specialty. QT then hits a backbreaker off of this, works the crowd for even more boos. So QT puts up the diamond cutter signal. Remember, nobody has ever kicked out of QT's diamond cutter for whatever reason. I don't know what we're saving it for, but Fuego counters the attempt and rolls up QT for a 2 count. QT gets thrown to the outside, and Fuego hits a beautiful Asahi moonsault. And then Aaron Solo and Nick Camarado, of course, have a sneak attack now. But Fuego sees them coming, counters both of them. QT tries to take advantage from this, but Fuego hits a nasty Poison Rana, a reverse Hurricane Rana for a 2 count. And Fuego puts his new submission finisher in. It's a bridging headlock. Solo distracts the ref so that Camarado can pull QT to the ropes. When the ref turns around, he tells Fuego to break the hold because the QT's on the ropes. So now Matt Sydal and Dante Martin appear on the stage and stage dive onto Camarado and Solo. QT in the ring hits a big pile driver. I thought this was it, but Fuego kicks out. The referee now gets distracted by absolutely nothing. I didn't see anything to distract him. But anyway, Fuego kicks QT in the yam bag off of this. QT then rolls out of the ring, but a tornado DDT from the ring to the outside has QT in major trouble now. Fuego goes up top, hits the Sky Twister spiral tap from the top rope, but Fuego pulls QT on the pin so much he accidentally put QT's boot on the rope to cause the break of the pin. Fuego then goes back up top for a shooting star press, but QT does his best Randy Orton impression. And with Matt Sydal watching ringside, who was the one that famously got RKO'd out of the shooting star press, with Sydal watching ringside, Fuego does the exact same thing with QT. QT catches Fuego midair with the diamond cutter, which is the same as the RKO. QT then hits one more diamond cutter for good measure, but it was already over. 1, 2, 3. Your winner is QT Marshall. So really good match here. They got me a few times thinking it was all over, which if that happens in a match, it was pretty good. A really lot of moving parts in this match, but no botches. So great stuff. It's been just such a great episode of Dark here, and it's not even over yet. We still have the Allen Angels, Daniel Garcia pure match. So that should be amazing. But before we can get to that, Jay Lethal comes out on a microphone. So Lethal says, this is my student, Logan Cruz, and I have a great student-teacher relationship with Logan Cruz, unlike the student-teacher relationship between Samoa Joe and myself. Cruz would never be selfish like Samoa Joe, and that's why Cruz is going to give me a warm-up match tonight. As your teacher, Cruz, this will hurt me a lot more than it hurts you. So the bell rings. Jay Lethal slaps his student right across the face, knocking him right out of the ring. Lethal dives immediately out to the outside onto Cruz, then hits a dragon screw leg whip to Cruz, and Taz says, this might even be the kid's first match, and no teacher would ever do this much damage to their student. Really putting over how heelish and stuff this is from Jay Lethal. So the crowd's now chanting, "Let's go, Logan," even though they've never seen him before. I'm pretty sure they've never seen him before. Logan fires up and hits some huge chops to the chest, but Jay just hits the lethal combination to stop that. Jay then sets Cruz up on the top rope, another dragon screw leg whip off the top rope, avalanche version. Figure 4 is now locked in, and Logan Cruz, of course, taps out. Easy win here for Jay, but it was a good showcase of what to expect Saturday. It's going to be a lot of intensity. Jay Lethal's going to be doing a lot of the same stuff. You know that Jay Lethal's going to start that match slapping Samoa Joe across the face, and then he'll probably pay for it because Samoa Joe is not Logan Cruz, that's for sure. But Tony, after the match, Tony Schiavone's disgusted. He's in the ring again. He's probably still mad about the twin magic familiar. But now Tony Schiavone can't believe the way that Jay would treat his student, and then asks about what the fallen angel Christopher Daniels said on Rampage to Jay. So Jay Lethal says, "Yeah, your best friend Samoa Joe is making you look like an idiot, Daniels. A grown man is hiding, and you just want to come up with all these excuses. And if you're not careful, you'll just be the sacrificial lamb." So I'm definitely guessing, this is me talking now, I'm guessing we'll see Jay Lethal versus Christopher Daniels on Friday, which should be epic. Christopher Daniels is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and he's not like so old that he can't have a good match. So that should be interesting. It's not official, but I'm 95% sure we'll see that on Friday. Jay Lethal then says, "Joe can't even lift his arm above his head, but he deserves it. The student surpassing the teacher should be a joyous occasion, but Joe is a selfish user, and I will be the next ROH TV champion. So good stuff here. This, like I said, a really heavy ROH edition of Dark, but that's perfect. We got the first ever AEW official ROH pay-per-view. They only co-promoted the last one, Super Card of Honor. So it's time for our main event. It is Pure Rules match. Alan Five Angels in his last match in AEW, maybe ever, versus Daniel Garcia. So here we go. I wonder if Excalibur will say anything about Alan Angels leaving, and Excalibur said nothing. So Daniel Garcia comes out first. He's got a 24-18 record. Alan Five Angels has a 9-11 record in 2022, and this will be his last match in 2022. Maybe he'll be back in 23 or 24. We'll just have to wait and see. Meanwhile, you can go watch Alan Five Angels on Impact. He's already had a banger match against Speedball Mike Bailey for the X Division title. He failed in capturing the X Division title in his first match, but looked like a major star out there. 24 years old, Alan Five Angels is only, and he's already amazing. So I assume we'll see Alan Angels again in AEW in a year or two, maybe 3. The Code of Honor handshake is observed at the beginning as per Pure Rules match rules. If you're new to Pure Rules matches, just basically remember these few things. You get 3 rope breaks, and after that, nothing. You can hold the rope all you want, but nothing will be broken. You get 1 warning about a closed fist punch to the head. After that, it's an automatic DQ. There are 3 judges ringside, so if it goes to a time limit, there are no draws. It will be decided by the judges. And we find out one other thing later on. It is a 20 count instead of a 10 count. I didn't even know that one until tonight. So it's for a count out, I mean. So pretty cool rules. I like the whole you only get the 3. You got to be strategic about your rope breaks and stuff like that. We've even seen on Tony Nese in the last Pure Rules match he forced the guy to put his arm on the rope himself, causing him to lose his last rope break, and he didn't even like do it on purpose. So pretty cool how the rules are set up. And this is really smart by Daniel Garcia, getting himself a Pure Rules match so that he can get familiar with the rules before Saturday. So right away, Alan has to use one of his 3 rope breaks. Maybe it was an accident there. Garcia gives Alan some really loud claps for about 15 seconds for that one. Pretty funny by Garcia. Alan then hits a leg lariat and flips off the landing. That looked awesome. Then Alan goes to mount in the corner for punches, and I'm like, uh-oh. Let's see if he remembers to keep his fist open here, because if he hits 2 close punches to the face, the match is over. So the referee is yelling at Alan about this rule, so Alan hesitates and gets off the corner. I thought that was going to immediately cause him to get hit, but no, Alan hits a kick and a back elbow for a 2 count, then goes to work on the leg of Garcia for a little bit. Garcia now takes control by pushing Alan off the top rope to the outside, and then Garcia mocks the Dark Order hand signal. So this is where I found out it's 20 count instead of 10, just like in New Japan. So New Japan rules on the count out. Back in the ring now, Alan tries to fight back, but Garcia keeps control, hitting a suplex right into an armbar. Garcia now slows the pace way down, which is smart. Garcia would probably lose a quickness battle against Alan, but Garcia would probably always win a technical slow pace match. So Garcia locks in the walls of Jericho now, but Alan gets to the ropes. Alan is now down to 1 rope break remaining. The crowd's rallying behind Alan Angels. They hate Garcia. Garcia is now doing some joint manipulation on both legs of Alan. They're both on the ropes after that, and Alan wins a striking exchange, but Garcia dodges the top rope attack. However, Alan rolls right through it to land safely and hits a springboard move to take control. Garcia now outside the ring, so Alan just dives onto him. Great match here, really fast paced. Not quite a Pure Rules match, but Pure Rules doesn't necessarily mean it has to be old school, technical, roll around on the mat type things. It just means we have these particular rules that you have to go by, especially the one that comes up the most is the rope break one. So anyway, Garcia's out of the ring. Alan dove onto him, back in the ring now. Really nice Northern Light suplex by Alan Angels for a 2 count. We get a "This is wrestling" chant from about half the crowd. Love that half. The other half is probably like, "What is this?" Garcia hits a massive open hand palm strike now, showing that you don't need closed fist to cause damage, and then a nasty back suplex by Garcia as well, and a Northern Lights bomb. But Alan Angels kicks out of all of that. Alan counters a sharpshooter attempt and rolls him up for a 2 count. Both men now up on their feet with a striking exchange. Garcia wins this with a lariat, but Allen gets right back up and hits a stalling pile driver that looked nasty. Spiked Garcia's head right into the mat. This only gets a 2 count, though. The crowd's now chanting for Allen, who goes up to the top rope, but Garcia gets the knees up, the block of frog splash. Garcia now has a rear naked locked in so deep, and Allen uses his last rope break on that one. Garcia just locks the sleeper right back in a second later. Another thing with the rules there was no rule that said he couldn't do that. So Allen now climbs up the ropes, up the turnbuckles, because holding on to the ropes won't break the hold, but he's trying to do something here. Remember, Allen's out of rope breaks. Allen hits about 10 to 15 back elbows, but Garcia just will not let go of the sleeper hold. Allen Angels loses consciousness while on the middle rope with Garcia on his back. The ref stops the match. Your winner by referee stoppage is Daniel Garcia in a pure rules match here. Garcia shakes the limp hand of Allen, which is the code of conduct in a pure rules match, then locks in the sharpshooter. So much for code of contact and honor. Wheeler Yuta, of course, rushes out to stop Garcia. Wheeler Yuta tells Garcia to get back in here, but Garcia wisely walks away. He's got a big title match on Saturday for the pure title. But anyway, Garcia tries to sneak attack last moment. Yuta sees it coming, but Garcia escapes the ring unharmed. But then Yuta just dives to the outside on the Garcia to end this episode with Yuta's music playing yet again. 3 times we get to hear Yuta's great music. And really good episode of Dark. So Yuta lifts up his title as we go off the air. We've got about not quite as good as last week, but we had 2 different 15-minute matches that happened in other companies last week. We had 14 matches that all had the theme pretty much of the ROH pay-per-view this Saturday, and definitely go find the Konosuke Takeshita versus Anthony Henry match. Really, really fun match and a fun show to watch overall. You can absolutely skip Elevation. Elevation was not good this week, but do not skip AEW Dark. So just real quickly, I'm going to go over the preview for Dynamite this week. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But we've got Christian Cage and Luchasaurus tag teaming for the first time ever, and they're going to fight the Varsity Blondes, who we saw get a big win for momentum tonight. And will they be able to withstand the attack from Luchasaurus and the tag team veteran mastery of Christian Cage? So we've also got in a really big grudge match, Brody King versus Darby Allin. It's gotten to the point where Brody King attacked Darby Allin at a fan signing. That's how personal this has gotten. So that match is guaranteed to be really good. We've also got another one that has a lot of personal rivalry behind it, when Wheeler Yuta left Best Friends to join the Blackpool Combat Club. So now Wheeler Yuta will have to fight the Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and it'll be Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta, the ROH Pure Champion, teaming with the AEW Interim World Champion. Great match that should be. And the main event tomorrow night, barbed wire everywhere. Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. That match is going to be just going to be the red stuff everywhere. They're going to be busted open within minutes. All of the Jericho Appreciation Society apparently is going to be in a giant shark cage to coincide with Shark Week on Discovery, Warner Brother Media, or whatever. That should be funny. Hopefully the shark cage is safe. I don't want to spend the whole match with my anxiety over me thinking that the worst is going to happen. So I don't even want to think about that or say it out loud. Anyway, we've only got one match announced for Rampage, and it's Lee Moriarty versus Dante Martin, where not only is that going to be an amazing match, but we should see Lee Moriarty turning heel and joining Stokely Hathaway. And like I said, maybe we'll get, I'm 90%, maybe 95% sure we're going to get Christopher Daniels, the Fallen Angel, versus Jay Lethal and Rampage as well. So don't forget, this Saturday is ROH Death Before Dishonor. So we've got week 2 of Fighter Fest this Wednesday and Friday for Dynamite and Rampage, and then we've got ROH Death Before Dishonor. So this Dark really kicked off this amazing week. Should be an amazing week. I mean, and we're coming off of an amazing Dynamite. Last week's Dynamite was great. So hopefully it's another great Dynamite, and there's no way that the ROH Death Before Dishonor is going to be bad. That's probably going to be epic. And we'll probably see some epic things. I can't even imagine what kind of surprises they might have. So we might even find out within that show what the television show for ROH is going to be. Will Rampage turn into ROH Rampage? Will Rampage be on YouTube? I mean, will ROH be on YouTube? Will ROH be on a streaming service? We don't know. So maybe that's something we could look forward to as well. Maybe not. We don't know if the news is there yet, but a lot of things to look forward to. So I'm going to get going. I'm only less than an hour away before New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 starts. So I will be back on the air probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then I'll definitely be here for a Dynamite after that tonight on Wednesday. So thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day and peace.